Drop two ego-driven billionaires into a dark alley. Strip away the cinematic plot armor. Rely entirely on real-world physics to determine who walks out alive. On paper, their profiles are incredibly similar. Neither combatant possesses mutated DNA or alien biology. Both rely on self-made corporate fortunes, roughly $12.4 billion versus $9.2 billion, to engineer their way into the vigilante business. Pop culture has debated this exact encounter for decades. But to find the actual answer, we have to throw out the lazy argument that the winner is guaranteed simply because he's Batman. We need to apply strict scientific methodology. That means enforcing strict ground rules. No speed dialing the Justice League or the Avengers. No magic. We are looking exclusively at the absolute limits of human biology and technological engineering. In a vacuum completely devoid of plot contrivances, popularity contests do not matter. The outcome is governed by the laws of thermodynamics and biomechanics. Bruce Wayne represents the absolute peak of the human machine. He commands a 600-pound bench press, a 150-millisecond reaction time, and a polymath intellect dedicated to optimizing physical efficiency. This chart compares that peak human output directly against Tony Stark's technology. The tiny sliver on the left is Wayne's biological maximum. The towering column on the right is Stark's titanium gold alloy shell, fueled by an arc reactor generating 8 billion joules of energy every single second. Converting that much power into propulsion and weaponry requires a staggering density of regulators, cooling channels, and microsensors. Every active system creates a new potential point of failure, meaning a single localized error can trigger a system-wide cascade. Wayne counters that with a severe psychological edge. His intense paranoia drives a trained ability to view every inch of his surrounding environment as an exploitable weapon. The fight centers on the tension between sheer mechanical power and optimized biological efficiency. Let's run the first simulation. A random, unscripted encounter in a neutral urban setting. 0 seconds of preparation for either combatant. The moment contact is made, there is a fatal disparity in reaction time. Stark's artificial intelligence activates combat protocols in 0.7 seconds. Wayne requires 1.2 seconds to assess the threat. In that half-second gap, Stark delivers his first strike. A repulsor blast carries 15,000 joules of kinetic energy, traveling at 500 meters per second. The human body cannot dodge an object moving at that velocity. Wayne relies on 50 pounds of ceramic armor. Under this specific kinetic load, the plating suffers catastrophic failure. The kinetic bleed-through instantly cracks ribs and inflicts massive internal trauma. Then we calculate the insurmountable mobility gap. Wayne's maximum sprint clocks in at 25 miles per hour. Stark accelerates to 200 miles per hour in seconds, taking complete control of the airspace. When a fight erupts out of nowhere, ground-based human agility cannot survive autonomous aerial firepower. Raw physics mathematically obliterates the unprepared man. Now we adjust the parameters for Simulation 2. Wayne is granted exactly 24 hours to select and engineer the battlefield. He chooses an abandoned, lead-lined industrial complex. The heavy metals in the walls and machinery actively blind Stark's thermal imaging and neutralizes his autonomous sensors. Wayne initiates technological sabotage. He uses the ambient magnetic fields of the massive iron equipment to scramble the AI's targeting lock. Simultaneously, he deploys electromagnetic pulses and sonic disruptors, forcing the arc reactor to aggressively bleed off energy. By funneling the fight into narrow corridors, flight becomes physically impossible. Stark tries to fire his repulsors, but in tight quarters, the ricochet risks lethal splash damage against his own suit. As the suit bleeds power fighting the environmental interference, the physiological toll sets in. Stark suffers from extreme G-force fatigue and mental exhaustion, while trapped inside a failing, heavy machine. Give a tactical mastermind the time to engineer the arena, and they will weaponize a machine's own complexity against itself, systematically dismantling technological superiority. This graph plots win probability over time. At the 0-hour mark, Stark's firepower yields a 90% win probability in sudden encounters. But at the 24-hour mark, Wayne's analytical ceiling flips the odds to 80% in his favor. Of course, this model relies on standard loadouts. What happens when we introduce extreme comic lore outliers into the physics engine? If we run the numbers on Stark's Thorbuster armor against Wayne's Hellbat suit, how do the thermodynamic scales tip? Technical superiority provides a massive advantage in the open, but that advantage evaporates when a tactical opponent forces the machine to fight on his terms.
Thanks for watching this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload.